Okay, next up we have Bogdan Okresa Djuric. He's a senior teaching assistant from the University of Zagreb's Faculty of Organization and Informatics, presenting a captivating ongoing research project. In his talk, Bogdan will shed light on an intriguing endeavor aiming to augment the learning experience of primary school students using cognitive agents as interactive tutors. This innovative project involves students themselves in the creation of these agents, empowering them to design and name these entities, thus allowing for personalized and engaging learning experiences. Bogdan's work examines the implications of the visual approach on education, discussing its potential to foster creativity, motivation, and a deeper understanding of artificial intelligence concepts among young learners. Stay tuned as he shares insights on the challenges and opportunities associated with implementing this unique educational initiative in various learning environments. The title of his talk is Cognitive Agents for Primary School Education, a Visual Approach. Please come here. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much for the lovely introduction. And basically, after the talk we had heard just now, now this is something completely different. So what I want to present, basically, in the next, hopefully 15 up to 20 minutes, would be short overview of one of the results of one of the projects that we have at University of Zagreb, Faculty of Organization and Informatics, so more specifically at the AI lab thereof. So there will be a short introduction of what we are going to talk about, then something that what basically the talk is about and why we did it, where and how we got to implementing it. The thing is that I will not be talking about heavy implementation or deep technical stuff, but rather as an overview of what we did, so we can talk about details later if you wish. So just a short introduction why I'm here or why I'm talking about this particular topic is that, so yeah, I come from University of Zagreb, and some of the main topics of research or interest would be multi-agent systems, semantic modeling, gamification, and then different topics of AI and so on. What I do participate in teaching, either in Croatian or in English for our incoming students, would be a couple of these courses, such as multi-agent systems, which I like the most, then perhaps database theory, declarative programming, and so on and so on. All these courses are basically on our master and bachelor's level. Now, yeah, I'm here just because, well, one of the things is that I like traveling and experiencing different stuff and different people wherever I go. So I had some experience with abroad, not in Croatia, and I like sharing whatever I know, however much or not much that is. If anybody will be interested, and I hope that the presentations are shared, so this is where to find some additional info. But, so what I will talk about are cognitive agents, so just a short introduction of what an agent should be in this particular context, where it's very interesting to note that we are talking about a specific concept that perceives something using its percepts or sensors and can have a particular action upon its environment. But the environment is not closed. So the sensors and the actuators may be very different stuff. One such environment that the agent can be located in would be a group of elementary level students, which we're talking about lower elementary school grades. So that's basically at about, I think, 8 years of age, something like that. So those kids, those students basically like to interact with something that's colorful, that's interactive on their level and not too technical. Now here we can see one of those, the face in the middle, the drawing in the middle that we can see, and we'll see it afterwards as well, is this personification of our agent, right? Something that gives the kids an approach, a way to approach the agent. And so we can have it as having some sensors or perceiving what the kids are talking in the natural Croatian language at this point. And on the other side, it acts upon its environment as in speaking in, again, natural Croatian language to those kids. When we are talking about agents, of course, we can classify them on different bases. So they can be reactive, as in having action and reaction effect, then learning based on input, or autonomous, and so on and so on. But what we are talking about here would be cognitive agent pertaining to this particular definition, which would then allow the agent to interact and learn basically from humans, or at least to talk to them and be talked to, or basically understand natural language when the users are talking to it. Now, the learning part is would still be something to be developed or left to be desired, let's say, but the interaction is there already, even in this, I would say, a bit earlier stage of the complete development of the outcomes of the project, because the project is still going on. I'll talk about it just a bit later. The project is still going on, but we do have some outputs or some outcomes, some results already. So this would be this would be a particular example of one such agent, which was developed by this particular group of students, or basically this grade of students, in visual terms, while the backend was developed afterwards. We'll talk about that as well. So here is the example that this is a particular mode of interaction with one of those agents in a particular context of showing whatever we did to the students, while the agent itself, which basically runs as a web page, can be the visual part anyway, can be seen or opened on different platforms as well, as in a phone or a tablet by students in school or out of the school context, basically at home. Now, why was this approach at all thought of, or why is it acceptable? Is because, chatbots can be seen as beneficial to the learning process, because they can help reiterate some of the contents of the class and similar, or maybe make it more approachable to our students. Then they may be easily implementable, especially in the context of recently available either APIs or large language models. And of course, we can highly customize the agent or the context and the content that it basically can think or basically can work with. Now, we go through rather easily implementable and highly customizable content, and we think of gamification because this particular agent or this approach can be seen as a gamified approach to learning or education, which is quite a rewarding process in primary education because it makes your students more engaged in the content and the whole process. So this is another example of one of the testing elements or events that we had with our students. And we can see one of those agents on the smart board or whatever, and two representatives of our team, and some students. There's a teacher as well somewhere in the background. The point was that the students were coming up to the agent or up to the TV basically, and trying to test some of the pre-made questions and receive answers immediately so that we can see how it works, because that was basically a testing ground or a way to see how very well they can interact with the particular thing. Now, speaking of the project itself, we are talking about enhancing STEAM, so not just STEM, but STEAM competences, competences of students, as in at least they will know what it takes to develop such a system, and that they will learn about it from early age, basically. So it's not only about implementing something, just writing the code, but it's about making it artful, artsy as well, in a way that we need a user interface and so on. Then integrating advanced technology in the learning process is one of the approaches or one of the goals of the project as well, so that we can work with more advanced learning approaches and technology in elementary school education, so that our students, our pupils, basically immediately get some exposure to the technology and the possibilities that it entails. Plus, innovative teaching methods are always welcome, and using an agent such as this one does help with perhaps introducing either flipped classroom approach or some experience-based learning and so on and so on. The students were rather interested in the outcomes and the presented approach, and they developed agents because they participated in developing those. But I will tell about that just in a couple moments. So all of this is a part of the Full Steam Ahead project that we have at our faculty, which was funded by EEA and Norway Financial Mechanisms. And this is just a long description, but the point is that it works with STEAM, so STEM plus arts, with STEAM competencies in primary schools, and in particular the second primary school in Varaždin in Croatia, where the point is to introduce new teaching approaches and new technologies to some of the students there. This is a part of the team. There's not a part of the Croatian team anyway. There's not a lot of people, but it's a valid and valuable project that we thought of. Now, to develop those agents, we had to define the problem and motivation, why that is needed, then define the objectives, design the agents, demonstrate and evaluate. So these two will be more detailed in the next couple slides, but I'll talk about 4, 5, and 6 as well. So primary objectives for developing these agents are ease of educational process, or processes, because having such an agent allows our students to go through some of the contents back home as well. So going through those in the classroom is fine, but if they want to rehearse something, then they can do that at home as well. The point is that those agents that we have a specific set of questions prepared and answers to those questions which pertain to specific contents of a school period, right? For example, of a week or two. Now, ease of use was very, very important to think of because we wanted our students to be able to open and interact with those agents as easily as possible, so that even those who might have some not necessarily problems, but some trouble teaching or learning or accessing contents might be able to use those as well and not get all nervous just because they have to ask somebody something. Then those should be cross-platform compatible. Basically, what we did is a web page that should be open, that should work basically on whichever device. And immersive experience and student involvement was rather crucial because we are talking about elementary school kids and lower grades. So basically what we did was allowed those students to draw whatever they think or whatever they want their agent to look like, at least on the graphical layer, and then helped them make that a reality. So make them interact with the agent they developed and they named. So they were a part of designing and basically implementing the whole thing, which made them so much more engaged and locked in the whole process. Now, the sole process of developing these agents included a preparation phase, a preparation phase, then teacher and student participation and agent implementation. So we started with the preparation phase in terms of talking to the teachers of those kids. So we're talking about lower grade elementary school, and which particular content might be suitable for a context as an agent like this one. So the teachers went through a workshop which basically included teaching them about generative AI and chatbots and cognitive agents and so on. And those teachers prepared a set of questions which will be interesting to those students for a specific period of education, right, of the educational year. What we received was a couple of sets of specific questions. So this is in Croatian, but for example, so we are talking about mathematics, I think, here. And there's questions like, what's a triangle? What's the those angles of a triangle, and so on and so on. And these questions were deemed as interesting to students at this particular time. And our agents were then taught on these particular questions and what are the respective answers that they should give our students. Then what the teachers were giving as an assignment basically was to talk to their students and think of and design and name a particular face-like drawing, which was then digitalized and created into an avatar basically for this agent of ours. So you can see here 4 different stages of getting from the drawing to the basically computerized or digitalized version that was used in the end. Now, kids are rather imaginative, so they did create something that has something to do with a face, but is not necessarily a face. So this one definitely is, well, is a person, but, well, this one is just something that they wanted to interact with, that they chose as the most interesting and attractive feature or representative of their particular agent. And they all have some names. So this one is called Eva, and this one is Zamerlan, as in, I don't know how to translate that, as in spotted, I guess, as in a spotted Dalmatian, for example, or maybe dirty, but let's keep it cleaner. So yeah, they liked that idea. Now the implementation itself, so that's basically the third part of implementing this. The implementation itself uses Python with Chatterbot module. Some NLPs included there, so that basically when the students ask something of the agent, then that particular thing is, that particular sentence, for example, is translated into text and just compared with the prompts that we have. Then it was defined or basically decided which particular animation should be played, which was created with Crazy Talk. Now that we heard the talk before, now just like 20 minutes ago, it would be interesting to, of course, include some other technologies to make this a reality. Although this was rather simple approach, which worked and which delivered rather good and useful results to basically a very good acceptance of those students. And this is what it looks like on the back end. So these three sentences are basically something that we might expect of our students. All of those work with bees and why they stay in beehives. But they all basically connect to animation number 22, which is animation and spoken answer to this particular question, which is always the same, but there's a couple of different prompts. Again, of course, this could now be implemented using some other approaches and some chatbots and and GPTs and so on and so on. But again, this was easy and standalone and works quickly and doesn't require extra either resources or services and so on and so on. So this was implementation of choice for this particular context. In the end, what it looks like is just an answer and just a couple of questions and just tied answers in a relational database. So nothing big, but it works. And here's audio files for different responses or different replies. And those audio files just respond with visualizations as well, animations. What we did for demonstration is go to elementary schools and talk to our students and tell them, okay, so you can try this now and give us feedback on it. And there was feedback that we could either see or we could get from those students, which was they were very interested in talking to those agents, and they were really trying. There was some problems with background noise, for example, because in an elementary school setting, you don't really have quiet like this, for example, right? Because there's always somebody talking somewhere in the background or shouting or whatever. So there was some trouble with that, and we noticed, okay, so we need to approach this problem in this way or that way. Then there was students who wanted to pose the questions, one of those questions from the list, for example, right? And they wanted to pose the question, but they were either too slow in pronouncing that or just a bit muffled in pronouncing it. So it wasn't a clear language, it wasn't loud enough, it wasn't articulate enough perhaps. Because, I mean, those are elementary school students, and that's kind of expected. So this testing was highly valuable for us for future iterations. Now, when I was preparing this presentation, it was we had some technical problems with those agents, so there's no link within the presentation at the moment. But if anybody will want to try some to see what they work like, they should be online now. So afterwards we can talk about that as well. So yeah, in the end we have cognitive agents as something that's rather successful in making the learning process more engaging and interactive. Not necessarily a good idea always and all the time, but at some points, sure, and why not? To some extent, it might be really useful, it might be cool to students, and so on. Then the students expressed, yeah, a sense of satisfaction and excitement because they did get something that's rather new. We were talking, I think today as well, I heard somewhere, and day before yesterday, and yesterday during some talks, about educational system and how it works and how it doesn't work and so on, and what we should change and how we should approach that. Well, we can work one change at a time, small change, small step by small step. So this was one of those. And yeah, we had students who had difficulties with pronunciation. They sometimes got very stressed, but then again, sometimes they managed to do it, even though they try like 5, 6, 7, 10 times. But to offset this stress-inducing element, we introduced just a drop-down menu, so you can choose the question. You don't have to speak it actually, but it's sort of a backup system. So yeah, this is part of the project, and that's about it. Thank you very much.
Do we have questions, maybe? Yes, we do. Please. Ladies first, right? Okay. Please wait for the microphone, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I think I'm loud enough, but okay. Thank you for the work you're doing. I think it's instrumental to innovate classroom in some way, especially, I think, kind of in the Balkans, it's maybe not as often to see that. However, did you maybe first think about some more personalized approach and some module that could give personalized feedback maybe to students as well? That's my first question, and my second question would be if you've seen different sentiments and different reactions in male and female students.
So speaking of, let's say, I would see assessment in this personal approach, kinda. This was the initial element for now. So no, not yet. But perhaps after the project, so when we again have time to actually think of that stuff, that might be very interesting. Yes. Then again, there were some ideas. For example, you have to then identify the student, right? If you want personalized approach, signing in would not actually be interesting. Then again, facial recognition perhaps might be fine, but that's a whole different set of problems, right? Then again, this is kind of, so the level of customization was on the grade and the time of school year that this was applied at. So this is kind of customized, right? But it's not very complex to add different topics of different prompts and so on to the bot. So that might be an approach. But yeah, personalized as in customized to a person, that might be something to think of. But yeah, that's an interesting idea. And have we seen different effects on male and female students? Not as of yet. They were all rather interested in talking to these agents. The difference we did notice is, like I mentioned, with those who had some trouble in learning or behaving and so on and so on. And that was rather obvious as well. Because if it didn't work the first time or the second time, then it was visible they got stressed, which was something we tried to avoid in the end. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for the talk. Cool topic. And my question is about like the anthropomorphizing of the face, or like the machine behind it. And giving it a face obviously makes it way easier for kids to have like a connection to it. And did you think about animating this? Because it's now with like just several deep learning things that like can project movement, like face movement onto a face.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, I didn't have a video for the reason I stated, but the thing is that yes, when the response is being played to the student, it is animated.
No, it is.
Yeah, so the face that they have does move kinda. It's not the best animation, and yes, I'm aware of recently more available very good approaches to animating, at least faces, right? Which is something that we should definitely try and implement or think of implementing as well. What is on at the moment is basically just a set of animations that were pre-made based on the answers that were expected.
Okay. Thank you.
Do we have more questions? No, that's all. Okay. It's time for a coffee break and we'll continue for half an hour.